Hi everyone, this is Mark Buckles for New Mexico State University Carlsbad. This VoiceThread PowerPoint presents basic ideas on persuasion and the elements of argument. Among the goals in Learning Module 7 are to learn about the nature and goals of persuasion and how attitudes, beliefs, values, and behaviors are influenced, and to learn to prevent oneself from being unfairly and unethically persuaded. Persuasive speaking has three goals: to strengthen or weaken attitudes, beliefs, or values, to change attitudes, beliefs, or values, and most impressively, to motivate to action. Any movement along the persuasion continuum would be considered persuasion. The claims of a classical argument are supported by three kinds of proof, or data evidence support. Support for an argument's claim may take the form of logos, pathos, or ethos. Logos, or logical proof, is considered to be the most powerful. In reasoning from specific instances, one examines several specific examples and then concludes something about the whole. In reasoning from causes and effects, one reasons from observed cause to unobserved effect, or from observed effect to unobserved cause. Reasoning from sign draws conclusions on the basis of clues or symptoms that frequently appear together. Among reasoning fallacies tested by critical thinking are anecdotal evidence, which may rely on too few instances of observation or on bias; straw man, any simplification of an opposing position that's easy to dismiss; appeals to tradition, which deny the legitimacy of progress; bandwagon, claims that everyone supports or accepts an idea; testimonial, manufactured images of authority; and thin entering wedge, that the beginnings of change will lead to disasters. Emotional appeals, pathos, seek to motivate by appealing to listeners' feelings, desires, and wants. Lately, Maslow's hierarchy of needs has influenced persuasion theories. The implication is that unsatisfied needs can be identified and courted by the persuader. Nonetheless, emotional appeals do not constitute proof and may be used to divert attention from a lack of evidence. Credibility appeals, ethos, are based on the degree to which one's audience regards one as a believable spokesperson. Credibility is enhanced by two qualities: competence and character. In establishing competence, one tells one's audience of one's competence, cites a variety of sources, and stresses the competencies of these sources. In establishing character, the speaker stresses fairness, concern for the audience, and enduring values. Related to ethos is charisma, which can be demonstrated through a positive outlook, enthusiasm for, and an empathic approach to one's subject. As one considers credibility appeals made by the speaker, one should beware of personal interests, character attacks, name-calling, and glittering generalities. We are most persuasive when we follow certain principles, that is, when we focus on and identify with our audience, secure agreement or a positive response, anticipate selective exposure, label positively. Ask for reasonable amounts of change, provide social truth, and motivate our listeners with limited choices. Selective exposure is the principle that listeners actively seek out information that supports their opinions and actively avoid information that contradicts them. Persuasive speeches on questions of fact are concerned with what is or is not true. They formulate a thesis on the basis of a factual statement and generate main points by asking, "How do you know this?" and "Why would you believe this is true or factual?" Persuasive speeches on questions of value are concerned with what is good, bad, moral, immoral, just, or unjust. These speeches generate main points by asking, "Why is this good?" or "Why is this immoral?" or "Why is this justified?" Research support in particular is persuasive in speeches on questions of value. Persuasive speeches on questions of policy urge an audience to do something about an issue concerned with what should be done, what procedure should be adopted, or what laws should be changed. These speeches involve questions of values and are developed by asking, "Why should the policy be adopted?" or "Why should the policy be discontinued?" and "Why is this policy better than what we have now?" Special occasion speeches secure goodwill by encouraging behavioral changes toward a person, product, or company. They demonstrate contributions that deserve goodwill. Effective occasional speakers establish credibility and are subtle in making pleas for goodwill. One occasional speech we've had experience with is the commencement speech to congratulate and inspire recent graduates. An effective commencement speech organizes the speech in a temporal pattern, does research, is brief, congratulates graduate, parent, teachers, offers a good wishes and a motivational message to the graduates. Another occasional speech we've often had an experience of is the inspirational speech. An effective inspirational speaker demonstrates oneness with the audience through one's own intense involvement and stresses emotional appeals and accentuates the positive. This concludes Learning Module 7's lecture on persuasive speaking. Next, we'll consider conversation and the beginnings of interpersonal relationship.